Hi and welcome to my soul tribe. My name is Miriam Rose. This channel is dedicated to spirituality makeup, and from now on I've decided to dedicate a part of it to lifestyle. I may do some commentary in the future, but up to date drama channels have been doing a very good job. And so I might leave the drama to the drama channels. I'm not entirely sure yet. I'm still new to YouTube, so I'm still playing around with ideas, and I have decided that I have lived such a rich life. I have a vast experience in so many different situations and on so many different topics that I just want to sit down and share my life with you. I might do some drama on TikTok in the future. When I start doing TikTok, I will let you know. But I'm not sure whether it's just going to be drama, whether it's going to be spirit guide drawing, whether it's going to be both, lifestyle. I'm still not sure, but I do know that I would like to join TikTok, join the very young generation, and contribute to social media in a variety of different outlets. So today I would like to do a lifestyle video with you. I just thought I want to sit down and just have a conversation. From the very get-go, initially, I promised myself that I will share my life with my subscribers and that I will open up and I will not hold back. And up to date, I have been doing a little bit of commentary, quite a fair bit of makeup, which has taken off well, and I'm pleased with that. So I will continue because I love makeup. And spirituality, well, my videos are not doing that well. I wish you watched more of them because there is a lot of content in my spirituality videos. I just hope that I will find enough audience for it in the future. So engagement is so important, and I would love for you to engage with me in every video. So please share your comments. Leave your comments. Tell me about your experiences in life, because I want to know. I want to make this a safe community where we can talk to each other, reach back and forth, and share our lives with each other openly, honestly, and without any prejudice. So please make sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell below, set it on all, and please make sure to check that you are still subscribed to my channel, because lately YouTube has been doing a funny thing like unsubscribing people. Please share my videos, and also join me on Instagram as well as Twitter. I would like to get some subscribers on Twitter. You know, I would like to interact more on Twitter, but you know, I need to have people to interact with, if you know what I mean. And Instagram, you know, I share different things on Instagram. So for the latest, please subscribe to my Instagram. I would like to begin from the beginning. Where would I like to start? I would like to tell you a bit about myself. Initially, I was going to make this channel geared towards, that's my doggy, geared towards mothers, you know, and giving advice on motherhood, new mothers, what it's all about. Because not only have I had 3 children of my own, whom I've raised by myself for most part, I have also, my dog keeps asking me to get up. So just give me 1 second, please. My doggy hates to be left out. He wants to be part of the gang. Say hi. Yes. So he just wanted to climb up on top of me and be held, I suppose. So we'll allow him to. It's not going to stop me from talking. So, as I was saying, initially I I wanted this channel to be geared towards motherhood, and oh my goodness me, because I have a vast experience in mothering skills, but not only that, I am also a qualified preschool teacher. I have a diploma in preschool teaching. When my son was a 1 year old, a little toddler, I went to college and I began studying preschool teaching, and 3 years later I got my diploma. In the meantime, I had a second child, a second son. So I did it tough, but it was well worth it, and I worked in preschool in early childhood education. So I have a lot of experience, and I have a lot to contribute to young mothers, to new mothers, to, my experience with labor and things like that. And as time goes by, I will gear this particular part of my channel more towards motherhood. I would like to begin at the beginning. Before I begin at the beginning, it's a very long introduction. I feel like I'm Petermonn. His introduction is longer than his content creation. I am also I also have a diploma in counseling, and I also have a diploma in community services. So there is a lot that I can contribute to, many different subjects. And it's fun just to sit down and talk. Just talk to the camera, freestyle, without a script, without any preparation. Just, pick a topic and discuss it. Are you enjoying yourself, Louis? Because you're a little heavy little boy. Anyway, he seems to be enjoying himself. And I love makeup because even before I got married, I did a course on hairdressing and beauty. So I'm also a qualified beauty therapist and a hairdresser. So I have a lot of experience before I became a full-time healer of many modalities, and also getting into education now in spirituality and in healing. Also, I've not always been this middle-aged woman with a furry baby on her shoulder. I was also young. Back in the day, we didn't call them nightclubs, we called them discos. And boy, did we disco. Myself and my friends. I had the best friend Nellie, and as well as other people in our group, and we used to get up to so much mischief. So I have so many stories to share with you. Some are more fun, some are more sad, some are educational, but there is so much that I can share with you. And I would like to make that, to integrate that part of my life into this channel. My hair is all over the place, but Louis, as long as Louis doesn't mind, we're all good. So let's begin finally, after, my 5-minute introduction. Let me tell you a story about how I grew up and where I grew up. So I was born in Russia. Back in the day, before Russia was split into a whole heap of different countries, it used to be called Russia. Russia Communism. Now, where I was born is called Ukraine. I was born Not that it matters to most of you, but maybe some of you know my city. I was born in the second largest city in Ukraine called Lvov or Lemberg or Lviv, whichever language you want to pronounce it. Before World War II, before Russians decided to take over my city, it used to be Poland, but obviously it was long before I was born. When I was born, it was a state of Ukraine and a country of Russia. I was born to a father who was a policeman and a mother who was a dentist and a nurse. And my father, because he held a high position in his at his job, he had to get a degree, and he became an economist as well. I'm an only child. My father was very strict. Learning more now as an adult, I do feel that he was a narcissist in many ways. He emotionally abused me for quite some time. Let's just put it this way. My mother was very peaceful, very creative, very musical. She always dragged me to concerts, to the theater, to ballet, to Moscow Circus. Basically every weekend we used to go to some kind of a play, performance, opera, etc. I left Ukraine when I was 8 years old. Even though my initial years were in a communist country where your neighbor, your next door neighbor, if they didn't like you, they could go to the police and say that you said something bad about the president, and you could go to jail for 10 years. You could rot in jail. That was the type of the environment that we lived in. My father, although he, as I said, as I told you, his job, he also was a shoe upper maker. So he used to make shoes and he used to design them. He was a designer and he would design them for ladies and cut them out and put them all together, and he could make like 1 or 2 pairs a month, which gave us a very affluent lifestyle. For that, because it was a communist country where everyone was supposed to be equal, he could have ended up in jail for 20 years easily. And most of my years in Russia or in Ukraine, I recall being with my mom, who used to educate me prior to going to school. And back in the day, we depending on what month you were born, and I was born in January, you would start school at the age of 7 or at the age of 8. So I started school at the age of 8. My mother made sure that I could read. I read all the classical books and stories that I could write. And obviously I spoke fluent, and I still speak fluent Russian. We had many raids, police raids, even though my father was a policeman, because he kept rolls and rolls of leather to make his shoes in our apartment. And everybody knew that he used to make shoes, and everybody, he could sell 1 pair of shoes a month, and we could live like kings, like eating the best food. We had a live-in housekeeper, and this is all during communist days. So I had a very wealthy upbringing. At the same time, my father treated me like crap. and my mother educated me, and she was a very peaceful, loving, kind woman. So it got to a stage where we were getting raided all the time because of my father's business on the side. So because he was a policeman, they would always call him in advance and say, Leon, there's a raid coming in, you're about to get raided, so make sure you prepare yourself, hide all your leather, hide all your instruments, and etc. But I remember my mother and we used to have really big pillows in Russia made of duck feathers. We would cut them all up and throw duck feathers all over the rolls of leather, and we used to try and cover them up, but it was it looked like snow in our apartment. But obviously they they found the leather. And also, I was a little girl. I was 3, 4, 5, 6, and because it was a communist country, you couldn't wear gold, you couldn't wear any jewelry, because everybody had to be equally poor. So whatever jewelry my mother had on, she would wrap it up, put it in a little handkerchief, put it in my robe, and send me away to our next door neighbor. And the policeman would often grab me on the shoulder and would want to body search me, a little 3-year-old child. And our next door neighbor was a very kind woman, so she would yell at them and grab me and say, come to me, child, come to me straight away. So most of the times I was saved in that way. This is the type of environment that I grew up in. My father used to train me to be a soldier because he wanted a son. So we had very high ceilings, 2-meter ceilings, and very tall robes. He would put me on top of the robe, which was way above him, close to 2 meters. And when I was about 1.5, 2 years old, and he would force me to jump, and he would catch me. He used to be a cyclist, as well as a chess champion, as well as a motorbike rider. He would, at the age of 3, tie me up with a rope around his waist, put me on a motorbike, and ride with me all around, without helmets back then, all over high heels, up and down the hills, to train me to be fearless. Well, I did grow up to be a very strong, fearless woman, that is true, but at what cost? So next time I will tell you about our immigration. Anyway, just to finish up the story so you don't get bored, it got to a point where we were told that if we're not going to immigrate, my father will end up in jail because of his shoemaking business on the side. And my father wanted to leave Ukraine long before I was born, but my grandfather continually deterred him, and because he wanted him to stay with the rest of the family. My uncle was in KGB, a KGB agent. So when we were leaving, he couldn't come and say goodbye to us because that would land him in jail. My father's brother. We applied to leave. My mother didn't want to leave, but she realized that it got to a point where my father will end up in jail for a good 20 years for making a couple of pairs of shoes a month. We applied to immigrate, and we waited for approval for 4 years to get out. Back then, you were considered a traitor. It's not like today that you can travel freely. It was that you are a traitor of your country. Your passports are being confiscated. You will never come back to your country ever again, to your motherland. And if you get out, you can forget that your birthplace ever existed. So that was the mentality. And unfortunately, my father's father had cancer, urinary tract cancer, and he was at a very late stage where there was no helping him. There was no longer a way for him to get any better. And that was happening when we finally got approval after 4 years of waiting for approval. My father asked his father, my grandfather, what should we do, because I want to stay with you during your terrible illness. And my grandfather said leave. So we did. We left on a train. A lot of people came to say goodbye to us, except for my father's brother and his family, because KGB agent and family, you know, everybody was being watched. So as I said, he would end up in jail instantly. All his I don't know what you call it, all his he would be stripped. He would be instantly stripped of his title, and unfortunately they never got to say goodbye, and he never got to say goodbye to us. So, and we've never seen him since, and we have never we weren't allowed to write letters to each other, because the mail was also being recorded, and every single letter that would come from an international letter from overseas would be recorded, would be read before it reached its destination. So we couldn't write to him either. We lost all contact instantly as soon as we left. When my grandmother came from the station, my grandfather said, "Has Leon left?" he asked. And my grandmother said, "Yes, they left. The whole family left." Meaning my father, my mother, and I. A few hours later, she heard a deep breath in and out, and he passed away, my grandfather. And my father was very attached to his father. I think he is the only person he actually truly loved in his entire life, like really loved. And it took my grandmother many, many years to tell him that his father passed away, because that would set my father into shock. Well, that's just a little bit of my story. I hope I didn't bore you. There will be many more stories, fun stories as well, fun facts, educational childhood stories, child rearing stories, my marriage, my dating life when I was a young girl, giving birth, having children, and lots more. So I hope you continue watching my lifestyle / commentary part of my videos, because I love sharing my life with you, and I love hearing your stories, and I love reading them and replying to you. So please continue with the engagement. Cosmic kisses to everyone from myself and from my darling little furry baby Louie. Till next time, bye for now.